I'm publishing my first novel and I'm 17, but I've been writing my project ever since I was 11. Here's how I turned it from something really cringe that I wrote as a kid to something that I'm actually proud of and I'm going to publish. Here's a summed up version of my experience, along with some other helpful tips and advice that I learned along the way. So when I was 8, I was one of those kids that had like an overactive imagination, and I loved to play pretend. And my play sessions with my sisters and my friends eventually started to follow like a common theme and like a common story, which was loosely inspired by the likes of like early Barbie movies, Disney, and fantasy movies. And by the time I was 10, I had like folders and old notebooks from school and stuff that were just like filled with drawings of the in-world stuff like clothing, animals, magic systems, buildings, but especially what was in there were like writings and stories. And those writings came together on a single Google Doc on a school Chromebook, where it slowly just grew out of control into a novel with no real planned ending, or honestly any planning at all. I don't think I even planned like a beginning or a middle, nothing. There's no planning. It loosely followed like a chosen one story of like a protagonist who saves the world. Yeah, it's not real creative, but like, dang it, it was fun to write, you know? Sorry, I'm sick right now. I kind of feel bad like looking back on it to like all the friends and the adults that I shared it with, since the writing was honestly like atrocious. But I suppose it's excusable for it being the work of like a literal child. But that's something that I'm glad I did. Had I kept it to myself, it would have probably been a lot worse, and I probably wouldn't have done anything with it. And so on and off for the next several years, I would work on it throughout middle school, except for 7th and 8th grade, which honestly, it didn't happen. 7th and 8th grade did not happen. I never really got serious about publishing it until my freshman year, when I decided that all the time that I spent on it should amount to something. And so I got my parents on board sophomore year, and the summer between 10th and 11th grade, I spent weeks trying to find a job to pay for editing. Eventually, I got one, and by this time today, which is like early January, my book has already gone through 2 rounds of professional editing with the same editor, and she did a great job. And so why am I telling you this? I'm not trying to be like self-indulgent here. The main thing I want you to take away from this part of the story is that it did not occur overnight, not even over 1 or 2 or 4 years. It was countless hours spent hunched over a school Chromebook after I finished my biology homework, and countless more editing and proofreading hours once I got home. It was years of turning my incoherent ramblings as a kid into something that I'm actually proud of, and a story that I believe is worth sharing. And I believe that given the sufficient amount of efforts, anyone can achieve this too. Now here's my advice if you want to start your own book and you have an idea already. You can skip the section if you already have stuff written down to the timestamp that's hopefully on screen or in the description. One of the biggest mistakes that I made while starting my book was aiming way too high and not planning at all. I had all these ideas for like crazy magic systems that were honestly way too much and so overcomplicated everything. This piece of advice mostly applies if you're writing fantasy though. You can ignore it if it's like any other genre. Of course, you can always prune down your ideas later, but personally, it helps to have clear guidelines of what is and isn't possible in your world earlier in your process. It helps in general to start smaller and then add complexities as the world progresses. It makes it easier on you as the writer and on the rest of us as readers too. As for where to write, anywhere is fine. I use Google Docs just because that's what my school uses, and I started writing in my school account on school Chromebooks. But really, honing your skill of writing anywhere is honestly a good idea. I mean, for heaven's sake, I used to write like short stories in Gmail drafts. Google Docs, in my opinion, is the most user-friendly and easy to access, but the phone version kind of sucks. So if you like to write on your phone, I would not suggest using that. Lastly, for this section, don't worry about your writing being absolute garbage when you start out, especially if you were young like I was. Writing is difficult, yes, but that doesn't mean it's impossible. You have got to be patient. Becoming good at it is particularly advantageous if you're still in school. Learning everything you will while writing a book will give you such a leg up in English class, it's not even funny. And beyond just all the new words and grammar stuff you'll learn, you can also figure out how to talk about themes in your writing. Themes aren't simple things just like love or human suffering, but like deeper questions that the author may or may not answer. For instance, some of the themes I talk about in my book, off the top of my head, are like, is a just outcome still moral if the means to achieve that are unethical? Who gets to decide what is balanced, good, and fair? Is identity chosen or assigned? And with that, here's my advice on editing if you've got some stuff down but you don't know where to go. For a long time, my book was stuck in editing limbo where I just brute force rewrote parts and deleted entire chapters and characters. I was so against outlining when I was younger, which is one of the reasons why this section of editing was so difficult. Please outline. In that time when I was revising and just brute force rewriting parts, it remained unfinished for a really long time. I tried to reach chapter goals, I wanted to hit 20 chapters or 22 chapters instead of actually ending the plot or ending reaching a thematic conclusion. Please do not do what I did. I ended up deleting over 30,000 words while trying to undo the mess of all of this unnecessary fluff. What I should have done instead was to step back for a couple weeks, then come back to it with fresh eyes and ask myself the annoying but important questions about the story. What is the story actually about? Both thematically and plot-wise. That is, in a few sentences, what does your main character want and what is preventing them from getting that? A way I like to write this question is as if I'm trying to explain what my story is about to an acquaintance from school who knows nothing about my project. For my book, that would be, A Universe Gone Awry is about a girl who's taken from Earth to a new universe and is told she's the only one who can stop a cosmic war. What she wants is to try and survive in this new world, but what's stopping her is the system that's lying to her and using her. You have got to understand the story spine. If you don't, editing becomes impossible. After all, you're trying to tell a story, and you're not just trying to write a bunch of descriptions, just linked together. Once you have that done, edit in layers. I've gone through my story at least 20 times over the past 2 years, just focusing on one thing at a time. Do not line edit in this phase just yet. Line editing is fixing grammar, stylistic things, the nitpicky stuff. In fact, turn off Grammarly for this part if you use it. It will only make your life harder. What I first did was to look for potholes and other big picture stuff. Then I got rid of redundant plot lines, magic mechanics, and characters that either overcomplicated the story or didn't make my story necessarily better. You don't have to give the gas station employee that shows up twice some deep character motivation, or even a name, honestly, unless it plays a role in the plot. I'm gonna repeat this again, but do not line edit during this phase. You'll only burn yourself out if you try to make a description sound just right if you just end up deleting the scene. You will and should absolutely spend a significant amount of time in this phase. I spent 2 out of the 6 years I spent doing this. Once you get into line editing, making big story changes is going to be difficult. Make sure you're satisfied with the plot first, and then have a friend or a sibling or a parent who won't mind some wonky writing take a read through and get their perspective on the matter. Now what you need to do next after you got that is, yes, the line editing. Check grammar and stylistic choices to your best ability. I would suggest following the Chicago Manual of Style because that's the publishing standard today for English writing. Some stuff can be confusing, like whether to use a comma or a period at the end of a quote when someone's talking, but when you learn the patterns, it becomes more easy. I'm going to link some articles in the description about this topic and other common mistakes. God, it sounds so nasally, ew. In this phase, check for the flow of sentences too. Is it clear who's talking, and does the pacing lull during a description or a lore dump? This phase is also going to take a significant amount of time. None of this is going to happen quickly. Now, a note on professional editing. I got my book professionally edited because I do not trust myself as someone who's still in high school to catch everything that a book has to follow to be professional and up to publishing standard. Is this possible to do on your own, all of these edits and all the nitpicky things? Yes, but I say that tentatively. You also have to know that there are many different types of editing. You've got developmental editing, line editing, copy editing, and proofreading, I guess, kind of counts too. I got my book copy edited just because that's the most economic option, the most bang for my buck option from where I was having already self-edited my book a lot developmentally, and because the copy editor that I hired also looked out for flow and not big picture pacing, but like small picture pacing within like a paragraph and things like that. Do not get an editor too early, please. It is just a waste of money. I only got it now, several years after I had already started my project, because I felt like I was ready. Get feedback from your friends, teachers, family, and peers, and self-edit the heck out of your book before you even decide to think about professional editing. And when you do, don't do what I did. I sent an email to an editor who only does like non-fiction research papers, because it said copy editor, and I thought that kind of copy editor was the same as like I thought one type of copy editor, if you do one genre, that's the same for everything. But apparently not, because then she very kindly redirected me to like a different network of editors where I could find one that edits YA fantasy specifically. The point is, find an editor that not only does the type of editing you're looking for, but also the genre that your book is. Also, editing is not cheap. Most of the time they have a base rate and then they charge like a couple cents per word, but if you have a long book, then that tends to stack up. That's one of the reasons why self-editing, which often leads you to delete more than you add, is a critical step. You do need to talk to your parents and save up for this if you are a minor, because even if you're 17 like I am, you cannot close deals on your own, you cannot sign contracts on your own, you have to get your parents' word. Now, next section. What do you do if you have a strong manuscript, but you don't know whether to wait until you're an adult to publish it, or if you should just do it now? Some people would tell me to just sit on your work until you're an adult, to be taken more seriously, and since you'll be better at writing when you're an adult, but in my opinion, publishing young is perfectly fine. As long as your parents are on board, which they have to be if you're under 18, like I mentioned, and you intend to do any level of monetization, you can very easily self-publish. There are two main routes you could go to if you're young and you're trying to publish your book. Neither of them is better than the other, they're just different in terms of time and money. You could go the traditional publishing route, which involves querying agents and then having those agents reach out to bigger publishing houses, and then you work to like close a deal and stuff. Sometimes they do marketing for you, but not really, and the royalties also aren't a lot of money. If you're a broke teenager like me and you don't have a lot of money to spare or a lot of time to spare, I suggest self-publishing. It costs nothing to set up an Amazon KDP account. You have to get your parent to do that. Like, if you're a teenager, you can't monetize it even if you're 17. And they really only ask that you price your book high enough to cover the cost it would be to print your book. So obviously, they don't lose money on it. This is the route that I chose to take, and if you have limited funds and you don't have a lot of time in your day because of school and stuff, then that is the route that I suggest you do that too. When you self-publish, you are going to wear a lot of hats. You have to be a good marketer, a good project organizer, and sometimes have some graphic design skills. But these are all very important skills that are transferable to a lot of things and will not only help you in the long run, but they also look really good on college applications. Now, covers. I chose to make my own covers, so I can't tell you much about the business of going out and finding a cover designer, cost breakdowns and everything. You can get an inexpensive cover designer, I've heard, if you hire someone who's relatively new and still has to build their portfolio. But of course, the quality can sometimes be a gamble. There are several people online who are far smarter and far more experienced than I am, and I suggest you watch their videos about more specialized topics, like the cover design stuff, self-editing, and publishing on KDP. YouTube is a really good resource for this, and so is Readsy, their website. And they have some very helpful articles on writing and publishing and also I think they have like a platform for like finding freelance editors too. Please do not use AI. AI is cringe. I know it's extremely tempting because of how easy it seems, but you're not going to learn anything if you have your book generated by AI. Do you think that the jock was any better at math after forcing the nerd to do his homework? No, of course not. So please, you have to put in the work to hone in your craft, not only because you gain this immense sense of satisfaction and pride after having written the book, but you also become a better writer and a better thinker, and that stuff will not go away. Here's a piece of advice that I wish someone had told me before I got serious about writing my book. Having tried and completed such a big project like a book is a bigger feat than being too scared and embarrassed to even start. To be honest, having written a book is something that still embarrasses me a little bit when I'm out and about in my real life and talking to other people, especially peers my age. And this is still something that I'm trying to do, but you have got to let those feelings go. Being young is the time to fail and the time to experiment and the time to try new things without the consequences of being an adult. You are not too young or too old, might I add, to publish a book. And you're definitely not too young or old to get started. Sure, some people might not take you seriously, but they're not the part of the audience that you're trying to build anyways, right? And if you love writing, but school takes up too much time, trust me, writing will find a way back into your life. I've gotten several comments under my last video about older folks who wrote for a time, had to focus on their careers and real life, but writing always found a way back to them. If anything you take from this video, apart from not using AI, just don't give up. If you're young, you have a lot of time to flesh out your stories and become a better writer. I know that being a teenager gives you a sort of tunnel vision where, at least for me, I drop a skill unless I see some fast improvement. But the reality is that this stuff takes so much time. I hope I'm making sense. I hope you got something out of this. If you've got any other questions about my experience, or if you have any advice to give me or others, please leave those in the comments. If you're young too, go ahead and look down in the comments because there's usually some helpful adults in there who have already written and published books of their own. Like this video and subscribe too if you enjoyed it, or not. I'll have links to my website and other stuff in the description. You know what, I'll drop my book synopsis down there too. The book is like YA fantasy, by the way. My next video will probably be more information about that itself instead of all this other stuff. I'm giving out my prologue and my first chapter for free to email subscribers. And I promise there's no junk mail. I mean, do you think a high schooler like me really has time to go and write junk mail? Absolutely not. Is anyone actually watching this far? Anyways, thanks for watching.